Well, hello there. How are we doing? And on today's fine day, we are doing a interesting video. It is going to be a keep or sell video for Watford in the 2020 to 21 to 22 transfer window. Now, a lot has gone on and a lot is developing basically, but I'm going to give my thoughts on our current squad and who we should keep, who we should sell. Now, to make it obvious, the players that we've just brought in as new signings, you would want to keep them. The only other obvious exception to that is one that we've already loaned out, and that is Mabude. He's gone off to AFC Wimbledon, so that's fine. But we're going to go through the squad and we'll talk about who I'd like to sell and who I'd like to keep in this window. Now, let's start off with the goalkeeping situation. We've got Daniel Bachmann. Now, Daniel Bachmann had a fantastic campaign in 20 to 21, and there's just no way we should be selling him. We've had a few rumours with Arsenal and Ajax, but nah, I'm not having it. He's got to be our number one goalkeeper for next season. So good for Austria in the Euros, so good for us last season, and he could be a really important shot stopper for us this season. So he's definitely a keep. Then we've got Ben Foster, and then we'll talk about him going to Celtic, but now with Celtic buying Joe Hart, looks like that will be off the table, and Ben Foster said he wants one more year at Watford, and then he wants to possibly go off to America, and then to #United. So that therefore means it's a keep for one last time. Ben Foster, the cycling GK, he's going to be a great backup if Bachmann, is out of form or is injured. He's the sort of player who can come in, really do a job, and he's a definite keep for me this season. And then, of course, Elliott. That is, of course, Rob Elliott, who's a very experienced goalie and a great option to have there as a third choice goalkeeper. So he is, again, a keep for me because, he's a very experienced goalie, and if we have a goalkeeping injury crisis, he's safe hands to come in and do a job, and he just looks like a player that certainly for the younger goalkeepers will be a great role model and a great player to kind of learn off. And I just really do rate Rob Elliott. He's still going strong despite his age, and he's a keep for me. And finally, we've got Dahlberg. Now, this one is a sell, and the reason is a sell is because it looks like we're going to let him go, and it's going to be a loan move this season to Doncaster, which is a really good one. Once again, Dahlberg is a fantastic goalkeeper for the future for Watford. Certainly will be one of the mainstay and starting 11 players in a few years' time. But right now, he's not got enough experience. He needs to kind of test himself at different levels of football and get that experience. And Doncaster could be a really interesting one. So I wish Dahlberg well, and then we can get him back from the loan. But that is one that does suit the club really. With 3 goalkeepers, that's enough in terms of our Premier League squad. And I just think that, he's certainly a sort of player that can improve and flourish at another club. And then come back. Let's talk about the defensive situation. We'll start with the fullbacks. At left back, there aren't too many options. Adam Messina and Danny Rose obviously are your only two in a broad sense. Danny Rose obviously in the pre-season friendly today made a couple of mistakes, gave away a penalty against Palace, but I'm not concerned too much with Danny Rose. I thought his fitness would be a real problem. And the fact he's playing a game so soon to the start of the season, maybe he'll start against Villa, but at the end of the day, he's a great experienced player to come in, and if Messina is struggling, then he provides that healthy competition. Do I think we need to sign another left back? I mean, ideally, but it's not a priority. It's honestly, we should be happy with the left backs we've got, and I think Adam Messina is certainly also another keep. So those are 2 solid left backs that shouldn't be going anywhere. Then the full backs in the right side position. Now, we have been linked actually with a few other right backs because I think there's just this fear that if Kiko Femenia gets injured, we'll be in for a lot of trouble. And you're probably right when you say that, but at the end of the day, I'm not too worried about our right back spots because, alright, Mark Navarro, you'd imagine he's going to leave. He's not going to get playing time, and at the end of the day, he's just not had really much of a Watford career. But Jeremy Ngakia, a fantastic young and hungry addition to that Watford right back spot, and he's great competition and great backup for Kiko Femenia when he gets injured. And we were linked with Jens Striger Larsen, and I think he was a Danish right back that played in the Euros, really good form. We were also linked with a few other players, but we haven't got those over the line yet. So I feel like another right back, a bit like the left back spot, would be nice, but it's not a priority right now. We need to consider some more essential players to bring in. But generally, we have had a very successful transfer window. We got a lot of our business done early, which in a way has settled the squad and made our kind of plans a lot clearer, how we can just kind of start to create a system and stick to it. And at the end of the day, this team is all about team spirit. If we've got the right, heads at the club to kind of guide the players through this and work in the right system, whether that's a 4-3-3 or maybe a bit more of a cautious one in a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1, then that's going to be exciting. But at the end of the day, I think defensively on that left-hand side and that right-hand side, we're in a pretty good position right now. So I'd probably sell Mark Navarro, but I would keep Jeremy Ngakia, and of course Kiko Femenia is a fantastic player for Watford. Then in the defensive midfield, we will talk about that, but obviously in that centre-back role, you've got Sierrata and you've got Troost-Ekong. They're going nowhere. They're, of course, massive keeps. Fantastic last season in the Championship. The problem will be, of course, with Troost-Ekong. Can he make that step up? I feel like there's no doubt Sierrata has got a lot of qualities to kind of suit this league, but Troost-Ekong playing out from the back, it does put me some worries there because he's not perfect with his distribution, but he does counteract it with the rest of his defensive skills. So Troost-Ekong's really got to go for it. He's Watford through and through. He's perfect for this club. He really does epitomise the family feel of it, and he certainly is a great leader. So I think he will certainly go for it, and I think his skills will come as the kind of gets on getting the experience in the Premier League. And Cathcart, I think, is another keep because he's another versatile centre-back. He can play on the right, as we saw last season when we got that injury to Kiko Femenia. But also, Ngakia, then Kiko Femenia can play on the left-hand side. But Cathcart is just so reliable, so solid, and such a great Watford legend of the past, the present, and the future. So yeah, he's a keep for me. And I also think Christian Cabaselli, we should try and keep him because, yeah, right, he's not played the most games under Xisco Munoz, but he's that kind of Premier League quality centre-back that we should have around the squad. Certainly for the odd game where Sierrata or Troost-Ekong do have a few teething problems and struggle to adapt to the way the Premier League is played. He's certainly fantastic. Matty Pollock obviously will have limited game time. We'll see if he kind of gets involved, but I think he's still a keep because, of course, we brought him in this summer window. Now the midfield situation is a very interesting one, I've got to say. We've just signed Kuka, the Slovenian, and that's a really exciting one for me. He looks like a really nice box-to-box player. Obviously, we've also brought in Etebo from Stoke City and Imran Louaza from Nantes. And I do think that all those players are great replacements if we do sell Will Hughes. And Hughes just keeps on rumbling on. It's one of those transfers where you feel like it's not getting done, so you think, oh, maybe he's not going to go because it just hasn't got the legs to happen. But there's still a lot of the window to go. 31st of August is the deadline, so I've just got this sinking feeling Hughes is going to be out the door, and I think that we need to kind of be prepared for that, if that is the case. So, yeah, the players we brought in, I think, are very decent replacements and very decent squad depth we've got in that midfield. Chalobah as well. Hopefully he will stay. He was linked with Leicester, but I think he will hopefully stay. He is another player, a bit like Troost-Ekong, who really epitomises this club. Nathaniel Chalobah, Watford through and through. So, yeah, it's a really interesting looking midfield right now, and you've got people like Cleverley as well in there who can take a bit more of an attacking role, and I think he's got to stay as well. He's just fantastic, Cleverley, the way he kind of epitomises the hard work and the spirit of this team, and I think he'd be a really important, experienced head to have in the dressing room. And then the attacking midfield is an interesting one. Obviously, Tom Dele-Bashiru back from injury and scored against St Albans City the other day, and that's fantastic to see him back on the recovery road. I would keep him in any other situation, but because we've got so much depth in midfield, I think a loan out to another club would do him a bit of good. Just to get some more minutes in his belt, improve his development, and honestly, he looks like a really great player for the future, the Nigerian Tom Dele-Bashiru. So I would get him out on loan, but I'd also keep Dan Gosling because I think he played some important moments last season. He could be a really good player for us, and I would sell Will Hughes. I'm sorry, I know it's a big one, and he's my favourite player, Will Hughes, right now. And if he did have to leave, it's a shame, but you want to have every single player in that squad fighting against relegation to have the right mindset. And if he's not committed to the cause, then I'm afraid he's got to go. We'll try and get some decent amount of money out of him, but with the way the market is these days with the pandemic, obviously we're going to have a little less that we profit from him. But at the end of the day, he's had a great Watford career. He's had a few injury troubles, but I think he just looks like he wants to leave. And fair enough, you know, if you're not committed, then off you pop. But it's a really sorry heart that I say that. Hughes might have to go. So that does mean that we can keep these kind of solid defenders, defensive midfielders and midfielders like your likes of Chalobah and Cleverley and Gosling. But also Domingos Quina will be a really interesting conundrum whether he gets the minutes. And I think that we should keep him, to be honest. He could be a really useful player to kind of just get the squad really exciting and dynamic in that midfield. He's that little kind of number 10 role that we don't really have. I say the number 10, maybe more of a number 8 or a classic number 10 in terms of just behind the striker and really attacking in that midfield. A lot of our midfielders have kind of these defensive qualities, and Quina just gives us something a bit different. But it will be seen to see if he does stay on. And then finally, our front three, and this is a big debate, of course, because we've brought in a lot of attackers. We've brought in Ashley Fletcher, Joshua King, really good signing, even if he did have a poor season with Everton, but he wasn't getting given the minutes, so you can't blame him. He really will look to rejuvenate his career there, and I think he's still got a lot of qualities, been proven at this level with really good spells at Bournemouth. So I really do rate the signing, and I think he's one to definitely keep, of course. Andre Gray, I'm sorry, you've just got to go, mate. Like, you've just had a bit of an up and down Watford career, mostly down, I hate to say, but at the time it was a decent signing. 18 million, we were all getting excited. This player from Brentford and Burnley looked the next best thing, and he's just not really delivered that. But at the end of the day, he can do something for another club. He has not been consistent enough, and when he has played, he just struggled to kind of have the confidence to do well. He had that little spell, I think, in the 18-19 season where he was scoring, a few games in a row, but yeah, he just hasn't quite got on at this point. So he's got to be someone we sell on. Also, we've got to sell Stipe Perica because he's not going to get a look in this Premier League season. Basically, we've got a very good squad and a very good strong spine of a team, a good unit and good options, flexibility in our options up front. But there are some players that you just don't think are Premier League level, Premier League quality, and they're just not worth breaking into the team because they'll just cause an unnecessary headache for Xisco Munoz, the manager, that really will want to have players that are committed and week in, week out, really showing the hard graphs. And, I'm not disrespecting Andre Gray, but he does feel like the sort of player who could go on a little bit of a bad run and then he has a little strop about it. And obviously we don't want to see that, but it's about the quality of striker in this Premier League level, and I just don't think Gray's got it. Now, Troy Deeney's an interesting one. He's such a legend, of course, 11 years now at the club. He is the face of Watford, the talisman, the captain, the third highest all-time goal scorer, but it looks like he's going to stay for another year, which I'm happy about. He's the sort of player you need in a relegation scrap to kind of get you through, and I think we've learned a lot from that 1920 season, the way we've kind of made transfers and the way we approach games. We just got to take it by the scruff of the neck this time, and I think that Deeney is still, on his day, very, very lethal. He can score goals. He's so good at penalties if he's on the pitch. So he's a very important player to have around the dressing room, and I think that, yeah, he can have another season, so we should keep him. Then on the other, forward front, Joao Pedro is a must to keep. Now, how much he'll play this season, I don't know, because we've got so many options in there, but I really like to see him play a bit more, maybe on the left-hand side, get his development up, because he was fantastic last season. I think that in his, just first full season in the Premier League, he could really do something special. I'd also keep Emmanuel Dennis. Obviously, we just signed him, and he looks like a really, a bit of a bargain and a bit of a steal, really, when you think about the quality of player he has been in the past. Obviously, a few manager fallouts, but that's not his fault, and at the end of the day, we can get a good player out of him. So I'm really happy about that signing. And Ashley Fletcher, obviously, at his time at Middlesbrough, he was pretty consistent. Didn't get enough games at West Ham, but he was a really promising young player at that point, and he's still got a lot of quality to give. So we should keep all of these players for sure. We should try and move off Isaac's success as well. Now, I think he does offer us pace, but I just don't think he's got enough in his locker to do it consistently. He scored 1 goal last season, I think it was, and it was a screamer on the final day, but mate, you've left it too late, Isaac, and at the end of the day, I think we've got a lot better options on those wings. On that left-hand side, I think it's got to be Ken Sema, hasn't it, fighting for that spot alongside someone like Kwadwo Bar, but I just don't feel like Bar will get many minutes that he would be expecting, but you could see him get a few more than usual. We should be selling Philip Zinkernagel, and that is going to be the case. It looks like to go off to Nottingham Forest, which is a shame really. Didn't want to see it end like that, but it was inevitable at this point. And I just feel with Zinkernagel that he is just not quite developed quick enough, and I feel that's harsh for him because he's doing the best he can, and he did get a lot of assists last season. Did look very, very good, but yeah, it wasn't part of Xisco's plans, and that's just the way it is really. But we'll see what he's like after a loan spell. And then Sarr obviously is a nailed-on starter. He's got to be kept. The rumours are that he will commit to Watford and Man United, Liverpool, and Crystal Palace even rumoured with him. But he's looking like a Watford player. And Joseph Hungbo as well. Really, great season last season in flashes, but he was unlucky with injury. He should be a player we should keep around the squad. And then, of course, on that left-hand side, you've got as well someone that can play there is Emmanuel Dennis. We'll see kind of how we approach that. But finally, we've got Cucho Hernandez. He's a keep for me, 100%, because he's looked really exciting. Obviously, how many minutes he'll get this season is a question that we are pondering. But at the end of the day, he adds that little bit of flair. He's been really good in pre-season, catching the eye a few times. So he's another keep. So all in all, I'm not sure what the actual number is in terms of the squad. Obviously, you need like a 26-man squad for a season. We've got something like 34. So obviously, with the signing of Kuka, with the signing, the letting go of Zinkernagel, we kind of have balanced it out a little bit. But yeah, obviously, for the technical reasons, I might not have got it bang on there, but it's the rough idea. And if we can just find a way to get rid of these players who we don't need to kind of keep really, your likes of Isaac's Success and Stipe Perica, as though they had kind of small, brief, great periods at the club, they're not going to be ones for the long term. So that's my video done. That's my keep, sell, avoid, keep and sell video basically for Watford for the 2021-22 season. And it's really sad about Hughes, but if we can keep him, result. I just don't see it happening. And at the end of the day, I think we would like to get another player in, and I'd like that to be another Premier League experienced centre-back, but the chances are we won't. Looks like most of our business is done, but we've still got plenty of weeks to go if Hughes does leave to kind of react to that situation. So that's my video done. I hope you have enjoyed. Smash a like on the video, and I'm off to go and watch a little bit of the Community Shield. That's right. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.